Hi everyone, Phil Cornetta here, PGA teaching professional and director of instruction at Sun and Air Golf Center. And today is going to be lesson 2 in our stay-at-home lesson series. So today's lesson is going to focus on posture. Okay, what is the correct posture and setup at a dress, and how crucially important is that? I think that this is one of the most basic fundamentals, but also one of the most important. I've said to my players for years that how you set up to the ball will always have the greatest influence on how you swing at the ball. So we want to dial this in right away. So today I'm going to go over a couple of common faults that I see and how to get into the correct setup and posture so that you can really start that swing off on the right foot, creating the proper platform to swing on. So one of the more common faults that I see is players will tend to set up by bending from the knees first and then barely creating any forward bend from their hips. So they end up kind of looking much more squatted down, like they're sitting into their posture. And unfortunately, this makes the golf swing much more armsy. The club can get much more laid off into the inside early. And so this creates a much more rounded motion. And common faults that you'll see is you'll see players kind of fold their left arm up, really narrowing the arc. So in this kind of sitting down posture, they start to bend and break down the swing. You can see there's not much shoulder rotation, not really getting much energy behind the golf ball. So we want to get away from that altogether. So think about when you set up to the ball that your primary bend should always be from the hips. We call this forward bend. So after you get set up, you want to bend from your hips, forcing your tailbone back, and then you want to lightly flex your knees for athletic support. This allows you to have more tilt from your hips than flexion in your knees. So this will allow you to let your arms sit much more naturally underneath your shoulders. You'll have a lot more space between your thighs and knees and the club, so you'll be able to swing this club a lot more freely, hinge that club properly, setting that club much more on plane as you rotate those big muscles around the spine. And from this angle, you'll see when we're into that correct posture, now we can really rotate those shoulders behind the ball. And that's what we want. We want to use these bigger muscles in the body, rotate the shoulders around the spine, let the hips freely pivot around the pelvis. So now we can create some rotation, some energy in that downswing, and really transition properly. So that's the big key. And maybe an easy way for you at home to work on this is get in front of a mirror. And then once you get into your setup, what I want to see is if we were to draw a straight line from your armpits, it should go right through your kneecaps into the balls of your feet. So in a proper setup, if you can create that straight line from armpits to kneecaps to balls of the feet, you're really in the correct tilts, and that tailbone or butt line should sit about 3 inches behind your heels. So that's when you really know that you're in that correct posture and setup, creating a much more freeing effect for your golf swing. So that's what I want everyone to do at home. Get in front of a mirror, start to work on some of these posture lines, get this posture and setup dialed in so that you're in a great position to swing that golf club.